The massive Empire fleet emerged from hyperspace near Jupiter, their crystalline ships reflecting the distant sunlight. Admiral Tom Reed of the United Earth Defense Force stood on the bridge of the UES Defender, watching the tactical display with calm eyes. Humanity had known this day would come. They had prepared for it for decades. "Multiple ships detected, sir," reported Lieutenant Mark Wilson. "They're bigger than anything we've ever seen in our simulations." The Empire's flagship, a vessel that could have housed a small city, moved ahead of its fleet. Its design spoke of arrogance, all gleaming spires and unnecessary ornaments. The Empire had never known defeat in its 10,000 years of existence. A transmission cut through Earth's communication channels. The Empire's Grand Admiral appeared on screens worldwide. Tall, blue-skinned, with 4 arms and eyes that glowed like dying stars. Primitive species of Earth, the Grand Admiral's voice boomed through the translators. "You stand before the might of the Eternal Empire. Your world is now part of our domain. Resist, and we will show no mercy." In the United Earth Council chamber, representatives from all nations sat in silence. They had planned for this moment since detecting the Empire's probes 3 years ago. Council leader Robert Thompson stood up, his weathered face showing no fear. "Send our response," he ordered. Admiral Reed transmitted humanity's carefully prepared message. "We welcome peaceful contact with galactic civilizations. However, we will not submit to threats or intimidation. If you seek war, we strongly advise you to reconsider. We have no desire for conflict, but we will defend ourselves with all necessary force." Laughter echoed through the communication channels. The Empire's response was predictable. They had conquered thousands of worlds, and none had ever successfully resisted. "You dare to threaten the Empire?" The Grand Admiral sneered. "Your primitive weapons are nothing against our technology. We will make an example of your world." Without warning, 3 Empire cruisers launched energy beams at Earth's orbital defense stations. The attacks passed through empty space. The stations had already moved, using stealth technology developed from years of preparing for this exact scenario. "All ships, execute Battle Plan Alpha," Admiral Reed commanded. His voice was steady, almost gentle. "Show them why we warned them to run." The Earth fleet, which had been hidden behind Mars, sprang into action. While the Empire's ships were massive and powerful, human vessels were smaller, faster, and piloted by crews who had trained in solar system combat for years. The first battle lasted less than an hour. Empire ships, accustomed to long-range energy weapon duels, found themselves overwhelmed by Earth's unconventional tactics. Human ships darted between their massive vessels, launching kinetic weapons that the Empire's energy shields weren't designed to stop. "Impossible." The Grand Admiral roared as his first 3 ships exploded. "Their technology is centuries behind ours." But technology wasn't everything. Humanity had spent its entire history fighting itself, perfecting the art of war in ways the Empire couldn't comprehend. Each human ship carried crews who understood concepts the Empire had never needed to learn. Concepts like tactical retreats, feints, and the exploitation of cover. The battle near Mars became known as the 6-hour shock. By its end, the Empire had lost 12 ships, while the Earth fleet had lost only 3. The Grand Admiral's flagship retreated to the outer system, its crystalline hull scarred by weapons its shields should have stopped. In the council chamber, Leader Thompson watched the battle reports with grim satisfaction. "Send one final message to the Empire," he ordered. Admiral Reed transmitted. "This was your warning shot. We will defend our home with everything we have. The choice is yours. Peace or war. Choose carefully." The Empire's response came hours later, not from the Grand Admiral, but from the Empire's capital itself. The message was simple: "This insult will not stand. Prepare for war." In his quarters that night, Admiral Reed looked at an old photo of Earth taken from space. "They never learn," he muttered to himself. "We warned them. We always warn them." The next day, Earth began full military mobilization. Factories switched to wartime production, orbital shipyards doubled their output, and recruitment centers were flooded with volunteers. Humanity had spent generations dreaming about the stars, preparing for both peaceful contact and potential conflict. The Empire had just made their choice. They would soon learn why humans had tried to warn them away from war. The real battle was about to begin. The Empire's War Council gathered in their golden hall on their capital world. Generals and admirals from 1,000 conquered worlds sat in stunned silence as they watched the battle recordings from Earth. "How did we lose an entire battle group?" demanded High General Red, his scaled face flushing dark purple with rage. "They used projectile weapons, primitive rockets and bullets." The Empire's chief military analyst, Dr. Lane, stepped forward. His holographic presentation showed human ships performing maneuvers that defied standard military doctrine. "We've been studying their history," Lane explained. "These humans, they've been fighting wars since they could pick up sticks. Their entire history is an endless cycle of conflict and innovation." The recording showed human ships attacking from multiple directions, using asteroids as cover, and engaging in what the Empire considered suicidal close-range combat. "They call it guerrilla warfare," Lane continued. "Hit-and-run tactics, asymmetric combat. Concepts we abandoned thousands of years ago because they were beneath our dignity. But they work." In the Kuiper Belt, the Empire was learning these lessons the hard way. Their Second Fleet, led by Admiral Green, had arrived with overwhelming force, 500 ships against Earth's mere 70. "Spread out and hunt them down," Green ordered. "They cannot hide forever." But hiding wasn't the human plan. Admiral Reed had studied ancient submarine warfare, adapting those tactics for space. Human ships lurked in the ice fields, their cold engines nearly impossible to detect. The first strike came at what humans still called dawn out of habit. 3 Empire ships disappeared in nuclear fire. Before their scanners could lock on, the human ships vanished back into the field of ice and rock. "Return fire," Green commanded, but there was nothing to shoot at. This continued for days. The Empire lost ship after ship, while never getting a clean shot at their attackers. Their mighty fleet was being bled dry by an enemy they couldn't even see. "Sir," Lane reported to the War Council, "we've discovered something disturbing. These humans, they've created entire military doctrines around fighting superior forces. They call it asymmetric warfare." The Council watched as a single human ship led 3 Empire cruisers into a trap. The cruisers, following standard pursuit protocols, flew right into a field of hidden mines. "They're using our own tactics against us," Lane explained. "They studied our ship designs from the first battle and realized we rely on energy shields, so they developed weapons that bypass shields entirely." In the Kuiper Belt, the Empire's fleet was reaching its breaking point. Green watched helplessly as his ships were picked off one by one. The humans seemed to know every move before he made it. "Another concept they call inside the decision loop," Lane told the Council. "They act faster than we can react. By the time we respond to one attack, they're already executing their next move." The breaking point came when human ships emerged simultaneously from behind different ice chunks, launching coordinated strikes that split the Empire fleet into isolated groups. "They're not just warriors," Lane said, his voice filled with reluctant admiration. "They're students of war. They've learned from every conflict in their history. World wars, Cold Wars, guerrilla wars. They remember them all." The Empire's mighty fleet turned to retreat, but the humans had predicted this too. Hidden ships emerged from their path of retreat, catching them in a devastating crossfire. "We lost 400 ships," Lane reported to the Silent Council. "They lost 12. This isn't just a defeat. This is a revolution in warfare." Back on Earth, Admiral Reed reviewed the battle footage with his staff. "The Empire fights like they've never lost," he explained. "We fight like we're always the underdog. That's our advantage." The War Council received one final report that day. Earth was dispatching diplomats, not to surrender, but to offer the Empire one last chance to withdraw. They're giving us a chance to retreat. High General Red laughed bitterly. After they butchered our fleet. No, sir. Lane corrected him. They're warning us. Again. Everything we've seen suggests this is just the beginning. They haven't even shown us their best weapons yet. The Empire had ruled space for 10,000 years. But now they faced an enemy that treated every battle like a desperate fight for survival, because that's exactly what humans had been doing since the dawn of their species. The real question was, would the Empire learn from this defeat, or would their pride lead them to an even greater disaster? The Empire's intelligence chief stared at the report in disbelief. "This can't be right," he muttered. 6 weeks. They reversed-engineered our shield technology in 6 weeks. In a hidden facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Anna White led the human reverse engineering project. Captured Empire technology lay scattered across dozens of labs, being taken apart and rebuilt by teams of engineers who worked around the clock. The Empire made a crucial mistake, she explained to military observers. They assumed their technology was too advanced for us to understand. But humans have always been good at taking things apart and making them better. The first breakthrough came from studying the Empire's shield generators. Human scientists discovered they could combine their own kinetic barrier research with Empire energy fields, creating hybrid shields that could stop both energy and physical attacks. They built their technology like artists, Dr. White said. We're rebuilding it like engineers. The Empire's next attack faltered when they encountered Earth's first hybrid warships. Their energy weapons splashed harmlessly off the new shields, while human kinetic weapons punched through their defenses. "Impossible," screamed an Empire commander as his flagship's shields failed. "They're using our own technology." But the humans hadn't just copied the technology, they'd improved it. Where Empire ships used massive power cores, humans created smaller, more efficient reactors. Where Empire shields were solid barriers, human shields could be modulated and redirected to strengthen specific areas under attack. In orbit around Saturn, Admiral Reed watched the first deployment of Earth's new stealth carriers. These massive ships combined Empire cloaking technology with human radar-absorbing materials, creating vessels that could slip past enemy defenses undetected. "The Empire builds everything big and bright," Reed explained to his officers. "They want their enemies to see them coming. We're teaching them why that's a mistake." The stealth carriers proved their worth during the Battle of Titan. Empire ships never saw the attack coming until human fighters swarmed out of seemingly empty space, striking from all directions at once. Back in the mountain facility, Dr. White's team made another breakthrough. They found a way to combine Empire energy weapons with human guidance systems, creating missiles that could change course in ways that defied Empire tracking systems. "Every piece of technology has weaknesses," she told her team. "The Empire never looked for theirs because they never needed to. We're finding them all." The Empire's War Council received increasingly desperate reports. Human ships were now using weapons and defenses that shouldn't have been possible for centuries. Worse, they were developing new technologies faster than the Empire could adapt. "They don't think like us," an Empire scientist reported. "We perfect a technology and then stop looking for alternatives. They never stop looking for new ways to fight." The turning point came when human ships unveiled their new main weapon. They had taken the Empire's energy lance technology and combined it with human mass driver principles. The result was a weapon that could switch between energy and kinetic attacks mid-battle, making Empire defenses practically useless. "We're not just catching up to their technology," Dr. White reported to Earth's military command. "We're surpassing it in ways they never imagined." The Empire's response was to send their largest fleet yet, believing that sheer numbers would overwhelm Earth's technological advantages. They didn't understand that humans had been preparing for exactly this scenario. Admiral Reed's voice was calm as he gave the order. "Deploy the drone swarms." Thousands of small automated craft emerged from Earth's stealth carriers. Each one carried a hybrid weapon system and was controlled by advanced AI that could react faster than any living pilot. The Empire's mighty fleet found itself fighting an enemy that fought in microseconds and struck from every direction at once. "This is what we do," Dr. White explained to her team as they watched the battle data. "We take our enemy's strength and turn it into a weakness. The Empire gave us the tools to defeat them without even knowing it." In their golden hall, the Empire's leaders finally began to understand their mistake. They hadn't just started a war with a primitive species, they had awakened a technological giant that had been waiting for its chance to reach the stars. And now that humanity had started adapting Empire technology, there was no telling where they would stop. Deep in Empire territory, on a frontier base, an alien soldier named Commander Gray couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw them, the human warriors who had attacked his outpost last week. Unlike any enemy he'd faced in his 30 years of service, they kept fighting even when surrounded, wounded, or outnumbered. "They're not normal," he told the base psychiatrist. "We shot one of them 3 times, and he still managed to complete his mission. What kind of creatures are they?" Stories spread through Empire ranks like wildfire. Tales of human soldiers who could fight for days without rest, who treated horrific injuries as minor inconveniences, and who seemed to become more dangerous when cornered. On the command ship, Empire intelligence officer Swift reviewed combat footage. "Their special forces units are particularly troubling," he reported. "They operate in ways that defy our understanding of warfare." The footage showed a human strike team infiltrating an Empire fortress. Instead of using standard tactics, they moved like shadows, using psychological warfare to create chaos. They planted devices that mimicked combat sounds, set up false sensor readings, and used the Empire's own security systems against them. "They call it fighting smart, not hard," Swift explained to his superiors. "Our soldiers are trained to stand and fight. These humans, they make us fight shadows while they strike from unexpected angles." The Empire's military had never faced an enemy that understood fear as a weapon. Human Special Forces teams began leaving calling cards at their attack sites. Simple Earth symbols that soon had Empire troops jumping at shadows. Commander Gray's base received new reinforcements, but morale was already shattered. "Did you hear what they did on Base 7? Soldiers whispered in the barracks. 2 humans took down an entire garrison. They just walked in through the front door." The truth was even more frightening than the rumors. Human Special Forces had studied Empire psychology, learning how to exploit their enemies' cultural beliefs and ingrained behaviors. "The Empire trains their soldiers to fight with honor," explained Colonel Jack West, leader of Earth's Special Operations Command. "We train ours to win. That's the difference." In orbit around a contested planet, an Empire patrol fleet encountered a single human ship. Following standard protocol, they demanded its surrender. The human vessel's response chilled them to the bone. "We are not trapped here with you. You are trapped here with us." What followed was a masterclass in psychological warfare. The human ship seemed to appear and disappear at will, striking from impossible angles, broadcasting the sounds of Empire ships in distress, and creating sensor ghosts that had the patrol firing at empty space. "Break off pursuit," the patrol commander ordered, his voice shaking. "It's one of their ghost ships." Back on Earth, Colonel West reviewed the operation reports. "Fear," he said to his officers, "is more powerful than any weapon. The Empire is learning this lesson the hard way." The Empire's military leadership struggled to maintain order as more stories spread. Their soldiers, used to fighting enemies who followed predictable patterns, couldn't adapt to humans' seemingly chaotic approach to warfare. "They're everywhere and nowhere," reported an Empire base commander. "My troops are seeing humans in every shadow. We can't fight an enemy that's inside our heads." The breaking point came during Operation Nightmare. Human Special Forces simultaneously struck 20 Empire bases across 3 star systems. They didn't destroy the bases. They didn't need to. Instead, they demonstrated to the Empire that nowhere was safe, no defense was perfect, and no amount of technological superiority could stop a determined human strike team. Commander Gray finally requested a transfer from the front lines. "You don't understand," he told his superiors. "They're not just fighting us. They're hunting us, like we're prey." In his command center, Colonel West received the latest intelligence reports. Empire morale was crumbling. Their soldiers, the finest warriors in the galaxy, were requesting transfers away from human-controlled space. Their legendary discipline was breaking under the psychological pressure of facing an enemy they couldn't understand. Remember, West told his teams, the Empire has spent 10,000 years being the strongest. They don't know how to handle being afraid. We do. Fear has been our teacher since we first huddled around fires in caves, watching the darkness for predators. The Empire was learning a lesson that Earth's military leaders had known for centuries. Sometimes the most powerful weapon isn't the one that kills you. It's the one that makes you afraid to fight in the first place. The massive view screen in Earth's Central Command showed thousands of human ships moving in perfect formation. After months of defensive warfare, humanity was finally taking the fight to Empire space. Admiral Reed stood at the command podium, his face illuminated by holographic displays. "Operation Spearhead begins now," he announced. "Show them why Earth's children have become their worst nightmare." The human fleet emerged from hyperspace in the heart of Empire territory. Their ships, now a perfect blend of Earth ingenuity and adapted Empire technology, formed attack patterns that the Empire's tactical computers couldn't predict. "Multiple Empire defense fleets detected," reported Captain John Rogers from the lead destroyer. "They're moving to standard defensive positions." Admiral Reed allowed himself a small smile. "Standard. That's their weakness. Execute attack pattern chaos." The human fleet suddenly split into dozens of smaller groups, each moving in seemingly random directions. Empire commanders, trained to expect traditional fleet formations, found themselves unable to determine the main thrust of the attack. "They're everywhere," an Empire commander shouted as human ships appeared behind his defensive line. "How did they get past our sensors?" The answer was simple but brilliant. Human ships had developed a technique they called ghost jumping, micro-jumps through hyperspace that let them appear and disappear across the battlefield like deadly phantoms. In the command center of the Empire's frontier fortress, Grand Admiral Blue watched in horror as human ships executed combat maneuvers that should have been impossible. Their vessels moved in close, too close for the Empire's heavy weapons to track effectively. "Pull back," he ordered. "Maintain distance." But maintaining distance was exactly what the humans had planned for. As Empire ships retreated, they found themselves caught in carefully planned crossfires. Human vessels, smaller and more agile, darted between the Empire's massive warships like wolves among elephants. "Show them our new toys," Admiral Reed commanded. The UES Thunder, humanity's first planet cracker carrier, moved into position. Its main weapon, reverse-engineered from Empire technology and enhanced with human innovations, could split a small moon in half. The Empire had never imagined their technology could be modified this way. "By all the stars," Grand Admiral Blue whispered as he watched the weapon power up. "What have we created?" The Thunder's beam struck an uninhabited Empire fortress moon. The result wasn't just destruction. It was complete atomic dissolution. The moon didn't break, it simply ceased to exist. "Send the message," Admiral Reed ordered. All Empire channels received the transmission. "This is what we can do to dead rocks. Imagine what we'll do to planets that resist. Surrender your frontier forces, or the next demonstration won't be on an empty moon." The Empire's response was predictable. They launched a massive counterattack. 3,000 ships, their largest battle fleet ever assembled, emerged from hyperspace. Admiral Reed's voice remained calm. "All ships, execute Operation Hammer and Anvil." Human ships suddenly accelerated to speeds the Empire had thought impossible, their improved engines pushing the limits of physics. They split the Empire fleet into smaller groups, isolating and destroying them one by one. How are they doing this? Grand Admiral Blue demanded. Their ships are half our size. The answer came in the form of modified Empire technology. Humans had taken the Empire's own engines and redesigned them, sacrificing safety margins for raw speed and maneuverability. Where Empire ships were built to last centuries, human ships were built to burn bright and hard. Another concept you should learn. Admiral Reed transmitted to the Empire Command. We call it acceptable losses. We're willing to risk everything to win. Are you? The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, the Empire had lost over 2,000 ships. The human fleet, while bloodied, had achieved its objective. The Empire's frontier defense line was broken. In Earth's Central Command, cheers erupted as reports came in. Humanity had proven it could not just defend, but attack and win in Empire space. Admiral Reed didn't join the celebration. He knew this was just the beginning. The Empire would respond with everything they had, but now they knew. Humans weren't just fighting for survival. They were fighting to win. Send word to all fleet commanders, he ordered. Operation Spearhead continues. Push forward. The Empire thought they could break us. Instead, we broke them. Now we show them what comes next. The invasion of Empire space had begun, and humanity was leading the charge. The Empire's Supreme Commander slammed his fist on the golden table. Enough. If we cannot defeat them in space, we will strike at their heart. Prepare the planet killer fleet. On Earth, deep in the underground command center, General Peter Black watched the Empire's massive fleet approach through the solar system. This was the largest invasion force ever assembled in galactic history. 10,000 ships, all heading straight for Earth. They think we left our home undefended, he said, a grim smile on his face. Time to show them our biggest surprise. As the Empire fleet passed Mars, Earth's orbital defense grid activated. Thousands of hidden platforms, disguised as space debris and asteroids, powered up their weapons. The Empire fleet had just entered humanity's killing zone. All platforms, execute Defense Plan Omega, General Black commanded. The Empire fleet's first warning was when their frontline ships started disappearing. Not exploding, simply vanishing, consumed by weapons that broke matter down at the atomic level. Impossible, the Supreme Commander shouted. Their planet showed no signs of such technology. But Earth had been preparing for this moment for months. Every defeat of the Empire had provided new technology to analyze and improve. Every battle had taught humans new ways to fight. Now all that knowledge was being used to defend their homeworld. The orbital platforms unleashed a devastating barrage. Some fired traditional weapons, missiles, energy beams, and kinetic strikes. Others used weapons the Empire had never seen before, created by combining human and alien technology in ways their creators had never imagined. Launch the AI defense drones, General Black ordered. Swarms of autonomous fighters emerged from hidden bases on the Moon and Mars. Unlike traditional drones, these were controlled by advanced artificial intelligence, capable of making combat decisions 1,000 times faster than organic pilots. The Empire fleet found itself fighting an enemy that thought in microseconds and never tired. The AI drones coordinated perfectly, predicting enemy movements before they happened, striking weak points the Empire didn't even know they had. They've turned their entire solar system into a trap. The Supreme Commander realized too late. Every piece of debris could be a weapon. Earth's defense revealed its final layer. Massive cannons, hidden beneath the surface of the Moon, emerged and opened fire. They launched special warheads that created temporary holes in space itself, swallowing entire Empire battle groups. You were warned, General Black transmitted to the Empire fleet. We told you not to come here. We told you to run. The Empire's response was to push forward, trying to overwhelm Earth's defenses through sheer numbers. But humanity had planned for this too. The orbital platforms began linking their weapons, creating overlapping fields of fire that no ship could survive. In their desperation, the Empire launched their planet killer weapons, massive energy beams capable of cracking worlds shot toward Earth. But they never reached their target. "Activate the planetary shield," General Black commanded. A shimming barrier of energy appeared around Earth, combining human and Empire technology in ways that created an impenetrable defense. The planet killer beams splashed harmlessly against it, their energy absorbed and redirected back at the Empire fleet. "This is impossible," the Supreme Commander watched in horror as his fleet was torn apart. "They're supposed to be primitives." The battle lasted 12 hours. When it ended, the Empire had lost over 7,000 ships. The remainder fled in disorder, leaving behind a graveyard of broken vessels that would serve as a warning to any future invaders. In the command center, General Black received the final casualty reports. Earth's defenses had held, though at a great cost. Many orbital platforms were destroyed, and thousands of AI drones had been lost. "Send word to Admiral Reed," he ordered. "Earth is secure. He can continue the offensive without looking back." The Empire's Supreme Commander, watching the retreat from his flagship, finally understood. Humans hadn't just prepared for war. They had transformed their entire solar system into a fortress. Every piece of space debris could be a weapon. Every asteroid could hide a battle station. And Earth itself was protected by defenses beyond the Empire's comprehension. "We should have listened," he said quietly. "When they warned us to run, we should have listened." The message was clear. Earth was not just defended, it was untouchable. The Empire's greatest fleet had tried to break humanity's home defense and had been shattered instead. The war was entering its final phase, and Earth stood undefeated. The Empire's Golden Palace, which had stood untouched for 10,000 years, now had human warships hovering above it. Admiral Reed stood on the bridge of the UES Defender, watching the Empire's capital whirl through the viewscreen. "They're sending a transmission," Lieutenant Wilson reported. "The Empire. They're requesting terms of surrender." In the palace's grand hall, the Empire's High Council gathered for the first time since the war began. Their faces showed the shock of a civilization that had never known defeat. "How did we fail?" the Supreme Leader asked, his voice echoing in the silent chamber. "We had everything. Technology, numbers, 10,000 years of unbroken rule." The answer came from Admiral Reed's transmission. "You failed because you forgot what it means to struggle. Humanity never had that luxury." The peace conference was held on neutral ground, a space station orbiting a dead star. Human diplomats sat across from Empire representatives, but the terms weren't up for negotiation. Earth was dictating the future of galactic civilization. "First," announced Earth's chief diplomat David Miller, "the Empire will recognize Earth and all human colonies as a sovereign power. Second, all Empire military technology will be shared with Earth. Third, and most importantly, the Empire will never again start a war of conquest." The Empire representatives bristled at these demands, but they had no choice. Human ships controlled their capital, and Earth's new weapons could reduce planets to atoms. "There's one more thing," Miller added. "We want to integrate our military knowledge into galactic society, not to dominate, but to ensure this never happens again." The Empire's Supreme Leader looked confused. "You would share your military secrets with us after we tried to conquer you." Admiral Reed, who had joined the conference, stepped forward. "We're not like you. We don't seek to rule. We want to protect. Humanity knows too well the cost of war." In the following months, human military advisors spread throughout the galaxy. They taught other species about tactical thinking, adaptability, and the importance of never underestimating an opponent. "The galaxy is changing," Reed told his officers. "The age of the Empire's absolute rule is over. A new era of cooperation and mutual defense is beginning." Earth's influence grew rapidly. Other species, impressed by humanity's defeat of the Empire, sought alliances. Human technology, a unique blend of innovation and adapted alien systems, became highly sought after. We must remember this lesson. The Empire's new supreme leader addressed his people. Humanity taught us that true strength isn't in superior weapons or numbers. It's in the will to survive, adapt, and overcome. The changes weren't just military. Human culture spread through the galaxy. Art, music, literature, and most importantly, human ideas about freedom and self-determination. Species that had lived under Empire rule for millennia began seeking independence. In Earth's Central Command, General Black reviewed reports from across the galaxy. "We didn't just win a war," he said. "We started a revolution." The final peace treaty was signed 1 year after the Empire's surrender. It established Earth as a major galactic power and created a new council where all species would have a voice. "Let this be recorded in galactic history," Miller announced at the signing ceremony. "Today marks the end of Empire dominance and the beginning of a new age. An age where no species will be considered primitive, where strength isn't measured by conquest, but by cooperation." Admiral Reed stood on the Defender's Bridge one last time, watching Earth's first embassy being built on the Empire's capital world. "We warned them," he said quietly. "We told them to run. Instead, they learned to walk with us." Decades later, school children across the galaxy would study the Earth-Empire War. They learned how a primitive species had defeated the mightiest empire in history, not just through superior tactics and adapted technology, but through an unbreakable will to survive. The Empire still existed, but it had been transformed. Its worlds were now part of a larger galactic community, one where humanity's influence grew stronger each year. In the end, the Empire's greatest defeat had led to the galaxy's greatest advancement. They had tried to conquer humanity, but instead, humanity had taught them a better way to exist among the stars. The war was over, but humanity's impact on the galaxy was just beginning. They had come not just to fight, but to change the very nature of galactic civilization, and they had succeeded beyond anyone's wildest dreams.